Can you imagine making that much slime? 5-gallon bucket worth of slime.
That would be so much fun. Guys, 500,000 likes and then we will do it.
500,000 likes. Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. I just picked Claire and Carmen up from school. How was school, by the way, girls?
It was fun. It is so hot.
It is warm today.
So good.
It feels amazing. Spring is on the way.
I could wear shorts. It's seriously so hot outside.
64 degrees.
It's true. It does feel like we should put on a pair of shorts instead of a black long sleeve shirt. But we are going to head down to Clay's shop and pour the kitchen table with epoxy. He's been working super hard on that, getting it all figured out. He's done a ton of research, trying to figure out what to do, what not to do. We do not want to mess this up because it is not cheap to do something like this. So we've put a lot of time into finding out what's the best way to do things and what we should not do. And hopefully we have done enough research that we have it figured out and we will not mess this up. So we're going to go down there and he is going to pour that epoxy table. All right, we're just getting down here to Clay's shop. He's got everything mostly ready to go. He's been working on this thing for quite a while now, vacuuming it all out, getting it all cleaned up. Claire and Carmen are having a quick after school snack. Thankfully, Dad has snacks in the freezer for you here, huh? Pizza bites. All right, so here's the table in the mold, ready to go. He added in these wood bow ties right here to help give it support and strength. And there's sticker down here. Claire says it's to be cute and stylish. So that'll keep the crack from continuing to spread on down on that one. And over here is the bench that we will have also. All right, Clay, so what's the next step here?
So we just vacuumed this thing off, vacuumed out the mold, and we did find some way to kind of keep this like pushed down in here. If it was hanging off the edge, I'd just use clamps and a piece of wood. I still might try and do that with maybe some wood here. We build up above the edges and then clamp from there, just to keep the center of this thing down. This one's heavy enough, it's not gonna go anywhere. So we need to lift this slab out and vacuum out the mold. I'm sure there's some dust in there. And then we'll vacuum off the piece, and then we'll place it back inside the mold and then start mixing epoxy.
All right. All right, we got the molds all vacuumed out, no more dust hopefully, and now we have to clean out the buckets and get those ready to go. Clay's doing all the mathematical stuff that has to be done in order to figure this out. Grateful he's got math
Just want to make
brains.
sure that we don't mix too much because epoxy ain't cheap. So we want to make sure we mix just enough. You know, you want to be above it a little bit because the epoxy will shrink a little bit. Obviously, we got 15 gallons right here. I have another 3 gallons just in case. I don't think it's going to be that much. I bought extra for a reason because we don't want to be chasing this stuff down.
It's true. It is time to start pouring some epoxy here. We have to dump these 3 containers into the buckets. Can you imagine making that much slime? 5-gallon bucket worth of slime.
That would be so much fun. Guys, 500,000 likes and then we will do it.
500,000 likes.
All right, so let's make sure we get all of it. We got to make sure we do not mix like, you know, all of Carmen's got to go in that bucket, all of Claire's got to go in that bucket, so we can't forget.
All of these 3 are mine. Oh, those 2 on the table are Claire's.
So let's just separate like this over here.
Once we get all the epoxy dumped into the buckets, Clay has to mix it with his drill for like 8 minutes. And so we'll put the color in. We decided that we're gonna go somewhere between smoke and black. We don't want it to be solid black, but we don't want it to be super see-through. So we're gonna try and mix just the right color of black.
Actually change it to 100,000. 500,000.
500,000 is a little bit much, huh? 100,000 likes and we'll make a giant slime in one of these 5-gallon buckets. There we go. We almost have all of it mixed up. The next step, we put a heat gun over it to pop all the bubbles. All right, the time we've all been waiting for is finally here. It is time to pour this epoxy.
2 buckets ready to go. The 3rd one's almost ready. The 4th one, we're just letting the rest of the air bubbles come to the surface. And then as soon as it does. So I can't hit it, but yeah, you can check it again. We put down this Tyvek tape. You can either do a mold release, which that's where you just spray the wood. And then after the epoxy's dry, it lets it kind of break free. So the epoxy's not sticking to the melamine, which is the mold. You can also do this Tyvek tape, which is what I've done. So I siliconed it first, let the silicone dry, and then put on the Tyvek tape. So hopefully, I mean, it's gonna hold, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, we
So,
don't want
like I
to
said, all the horror stories I've
bring
seen
a leak through one of these corners.
on YouTube is
Awful.
where guys have a leak and then it's all over their shop floor and it's a mess. So it almost seems like all of the good guys, all the big guys that do it on YouTube have had a leak. So I'm hoping that we do not, because epoxy is not cheap and it would be a heck of a mess to clean up. So
Yeah.
cross your fingers.
All right. Amount of epoxy on both sides.
I leveled the table before, but
Fix a few little things here.
just making a few minor adjustments. The best thing is I don't see any leaks.
Yes,
So
that is holding
I can-
perfectly.
put a few shims in, no problem, but at least there's no leaks.
So the color actually turned out to be just perfect. We were wanting it to be a smoky color, but I think over here where it's like thicker is gonna be probably a little bit darker than what it's showing here on top, which is gonna be about perfect.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be more of that, but maybe once the bottom comes off, you'll be able to see a little bit of light through it.
Yeah, what do you think, Carm? Pretty cool? We poured the exact amount of epoxy that we would need to do the bench and the table. It worked out perfectly. So we have the tables all done. We got all the air bubbles out of it. It just has to sit here for like what, Clay, a week?
This epoxy is actually saying it should be dry in 3 days, but I've seen some other epoxy that says 7 days. So we're gonna check it after a few days and see how hard it is, but I think I'll probably let it set the full 7 days before I remove it from the mold.
Just to be sure.
Just to be sure. We do not want any issues, but there's no leaks in either mold, which is great. This one still is like blowing a few bubbles. A couple air pockets inside this crack right here. One there, looks like some there. The end looks like it's about done. So we're gonna stay here until these bubbles are done to make sure we hit it with the heat gun. It's kind of funny how it still is finding air pockets all the way back inside there. I'm stoked that there's not any issues. I've been stressing about this thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's why it's taken us so long to do it. I just wanted to make sure that I did my homework, made sure that the things were correct, to make sure that I didn't overmix. So there is a handful of things that can definitely go wrong with just like mixing too much, not getting the right amount of color in there. So there can be all kinds of problems. And I follow a bunch of pages and stuff like that like talk about epoxy, and there's some horror stories out there. So we've been fortunate so far, but there are some stories out there where if you do not keep the temperature warm enough inside the room, that the epoxy will not dry. So we got to keep that heat up between I think 70 and 85 degrees for the next few days. So I'm gonna tell everyone that comes into my shop, don't touch the heat, don't make any dust, so it should be fine.
So once this epoxy completely dries, then we will run it through a big sander or something to get the epoxy off the wood, right?
You could do a sander. I found this guy who has a mill, and so he can cut like big logs and stuff. He's got it's a CNC machine basically that he uses to flatten slabs. It's like you could flatten a slab that's probably 8-9 feet wide by about 15 feet long. And so you just set up on top, he's got a computer, and it scans the piece, and then it's got a big 4-inch router bit, and he just tells it what height to go, and then that thing just runs back and forth, and he takes off about an 1/8 inch at a time. So we'll run this one time on this side, one time on the other side. So it'll cut off an 1/8 inch and get us back down to bare wood. And then we're gonna use a product called Rubio's Monocoat. And so we're gonna get one that's got a stain in it. You could do a natural, but we're gonna get one that's got a stain. And you just, after you get everything sanded to like 600, you can use that Monocoat on top, and you just trowel that thing on, let it dry, and buff it off.
Sweet, I'm excited to see this thing done. I think our work here is done for the day. The girls and I are gonna head home, get dinner on the table. Claire and Carmen are starving to death, so we're gonna head home, get dinner on the table. I think Clay might hang out here for a little bit longer to pop any bubbles that might pop up in the next few minutes, just so they don't start to dry in there, because that would be terrible to have that happen. So the girls and I are just getting home, getting some dinner on the table. Tonight we are having a turkey breast that I have cooked in the crock pot all day, and it's literally just falling apart. It's gonna be so tender and juicy. And then we're having some au gratin potatoes that we picked up from Costco the other day, some green beans, and then we're gonna get on to a little bit of homework. I know that Austin has some homework he has to get done tonight, and Owen just took off for young men's. So Crazy busy night again tonight. All right, girls, how is it? We got the green beans and yummy potatoes. I haven't got the turkey out yet, but it's gonna be delicious. All right, Claire, how is it? Got the turkey all shredded. It turned out beautifully. Normally, I do not have great luck with turkey, but tonight looks fantastic. Guys, we hope you enjoyed watching us pour the epoxy on that table. We are crossing our fingers that when we go back down there tomorrow that everything will check out and it will be just fine. Like Clay said, that epoxy is crazy expensive and not something you can really mess up or want to have get messed up. So crossing our fingers that when we go back down tomorrow to check it out that everything is fine and it will be the most beautiful kitchen table. I'm super excited about it and we can't wait to show you guys the finished product. We hope you guys will come back tomorrow and hang out with us. We love you and we'll see you guys then.